Accurate, fast, and fair. This is News 5 Today.
We do have breaking news this morning. A body has been found in Colorado Springs overnight, but police are not saying yet if it is that 16-year-old girl who disappeared in flash flooding yesterday in the northeast part of town.
News 5's Maddie Garrett is live near Platte and Wootton with the latest on both the search for the teen and this body that was found overnight. What's the very latest, Maddie?
Well, that search ended around 12:30 this morning when police and search and rescue crews found a body here in the creek. This is here at Platte and Wootton. This is about 3 miles south where missing teen Rose Hams went missing yesterday afternoon during that heavy rainfall. Again, police are not confirming that the body found is in fact the teenager. We're going to have to wait for word from the coroner's office on that. However, we are getting confirmation that the clothing found on the body does match that of missing teen Rose Hams. Also, we are expecting word to come down from the coroner's office later on today. The search for Hams has ended and the family has been notified of these developments. We're going to continue to follow this for you as the morning progresses. We're live in Colorado Springs. Maddie Garrett, News 5.
Maddie, thank you. A minute past the hour now. All of the rain that southern Colorado got in the last few hours created intense rapids and flooded ditches. Some of the video from yesterday, you can see the rushing water here. That overflowed into the Sand Creek ditch in northeastern Colorado Springs and flooded a nearby trail. This was one of the trouble spots at Powers and Barnes. You can see several feet of water flooded an area, and again in northeastern Colorado Springs. As a reminder, authorities say you should never drive through floodwaters. There may be more flash flooding today. Your forecast with Stephen Bowers is coming up in about 2 to 3 minutes here.
And those rains, they brought more fears of flooding to Manitou Springs. The rain did fall over the Waldo Canyon burn area. In the last 24 hours, the Upper Williams Canyon received 4/10 of an inch of rain. That was enough to cause flooding and force the temporary closure of Highway 24 yesterday. It has since reopened, but it was not nearly the downpour we saw on Friday. That flash flood warning was the last thing folks in Manitou wanted, as you can imagine. But thankfully, the runoff was much lighter. The cleanup there, it still continues with all eyes on the sky and a lot of frayed nerves. Several business owners, though, are banding together to help each other.
I got some good friends in town, but not just me. The whole town is like a friendship town, and everybody comes to help each other.
The folks organizing volunteer cleanup say they still need a lot of equipment like shovels or wheelbarrows. They say that job is far from finished.
5:03 this morning, more money could be headed to Highway 24 to help lessen flood damage in the future. CDOT is asking for that money to tackle the problem that we've seen in the past. Current plans call for diverting floodwaters from the road with a bigger culvert and larger pipes. CDOT's request for more money, though, would speed up that process. El Paso County will also be getting more money after Friday's deadly flash flooding. The governor declared a disaster emergency, which frees up $400,000 for flood removal and provides flood emergency protective measures. The county and city of Manitou Springs made that request on Saturday.
There will be a change to the ballots in those recall elections for John Morse and Angela Hirone, and it could come with another hefty price tag for taxpayers. Names can now be added to the ballot up to 15 days before the September 10th election. A judge made that ruling even though some of them have already been mailed out. Now, this started because of the lawsuit by the Libertarian Party to get more names on the recall ballots. The hearing went for about 9 hours yesterday before there was any ruling. And even as the judge made it, he acknowledged his decision may be throwing a wrench into this entire process.
But the court today basically said that's all well and good. It's well thought out. But you have to follow the Constitution. So we came down on the side of the plaintiffs in this case, who I represented, and our clients are now able to put their name on the ballot.
Our job right now is to make this election work. I don't know if we're going to appeal this case. We've got to look at that and review it. But regardless, we are going to make this election work. We're going to come in with a plan for how we deal with the various other deadlines.
While the September 10th election date will stand, El Paso County Clerk and Recorder Wayne Williams says the ruling just doesn't leave enough time for mail-in ballots in the recall election of John Morse. He says when Democrats pushed through a new law that changed voting rules, they didn't consider how it would conflict with the Constitution when it comes to those recall elections.
Under these circumstances, we think we're probably going to need to move to a polling place election simply because you wouldn't be able to get ballots printed and distributed to people in a timely fashion.
Williams says he will be working with the Secretary of State to figure out what to do about the ballots already mailed out to soldiers and military members serving overseas. And while this is a very rough estimate, he says today this ruling will add another $90,000 to that recall election price tag.
5:05 this morning. Let's get your first Alert 5 weather forecast as we enter this brand new day. We're under another flash flood watch, so here we go again.
We are, and I want to show you some of these rainfall totals from yesterday. They are quite impressive, especially around Colorado Springs. And what I want to point out to you is that while the airport in Colorado Springs got almost an inch of rain, keep in mind areas on the west side of town where that upslope breeze can help things out a little bit more. Probably were considerably higher than this. In Pueblo, 1/10 of an inch of rain fell yesterday, and we're in for more heavy rain today. So a flash flood watch has been posted for both El Paso and Teller counties from noon until 9 p.m. We don't have any rain showing up yet. Now, we've seen some clouds during the overnight hours, but we've also seen a little bit of clearing right along I-25. I actually saw a little bit of starlight on the way in early this morning. But one thing I want to point out is look at the water vapor channel of the satellite and see just to our north where we're actually seeing some gray, and off to the northeast of us there are these bright bursts of white. Look right here on top of us. It's actually nice and clear right now, and what that's telling us is that there's not a lot of moisture above the ground. At the ground, though, there's still a lot of moisture. Dew point temperatures right now are in the 50s, and with an upslope breeze, all we need is that low-level moisture to get some rain. But with that lack of moisture aloft, the rain is not going to be as widespread today as it has been. Now, most of us are waking up in the 50s this morning. A few of us are in the lower 60s. In Colorado Springs, we'll warm up to 75 today. Expect 60s again in Teller County with 77 for you in Ellicott. Pueblo is headed up to 82, and 80 will be the high temperature today in Pueblo West. More lower 80s are in the forecast for you in the southeastern plains with upper 70s along the southern mountains from Walsenburg to Trinidad and even back into the San Luis Valley at Alamosa. It's time now for a look at traffic, and here it is. We'll show you the drive time from Woodland Park to Colorado Springs. It's 23 minutes along Highway 24. And just like yesterday, I want to point out that if you have plans to drive 24, especially this afternoon or early this evening, make sure you check on weather and traffic conditions before you go through Ute Pass, because flash flooding, once again, is a possibility today. Also, through 5:30 this morning, the northbound I-25 on-ramp from Interquest Parkway is closed. It's closed from 8:30 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. through Thursday, and that's due to paving. But otherwise, Colorado Springs is nice and quiet this morning, aside from that minor slowdown here or there. The same story is true in Pueblo. It looks like 4th Street coming into downtown could be a little slow going coming from the east especially. Otherwise, things look a-okay. If you're headed north today, 18 minutes is the expected drive time from near downtown Colorado Springs to Monument, and continuing north to Denver is another 35-minute commute this morning. Nicole, Adam?
July retail sales data comes out this morning, but it turns out thousands of stores aren't just tracking your spending.
Yeah, they're also tracking your returns. Danielle Lee is here with more on why consumer advocates say retailers are going too far.
Adam and Nicole, good morning. The next time you make a return, you may want to take a look at your receipt. It could warn you that your actions are being tracked. Retailers say it's all about fraud prevention, but consumer advocates have concerns.
We've all been there. The item looks great off the rack, but get it home, it's a different story. The retail industry estimates consumers return $264 billion worth of merchandise each year, almost 9% of total sales.
Return fraud is a multi-billion-dollar problem for retailers.
Retailers say the problems range from customers returning used items to criminals getting cash for items they never bought. Now thousands of retailers are hiring third-party companies to create databases that track and analyze customers' returns.
This tracking is designed to weed out the criminals.
The return profiles often contain a customer's name, address, date of birth, and logs of recent transactions. Consumer advocates are taking issue. In a statement from the U.S. Public Interest Research Group, a spokesman said there should be no secret databases. That's a basic rule of privacy practices. The debate comes amidst growing concerns about privacy, from the recent revelations about the NSA surveillance programs to information captured by social media.
They know who we're friends with, they know what we do, they know what we like. They also share a lot of that information with other sites across the web.
Many Americans are asking themselves whether a fine line has been crossed.
The practice led to a recent privacy lawsuit that was tossed out in federal court. Some retailers disclose their practice of return tracking, but others do not. So the next time you make a return, it may be smart to ask. In Washington, I'm Danielle Lee for News 5. Adam and Nicole, back to you.
All right, Danielle, thanks. And forecasters estimate July sales will be up slightly, rising for a fourth consecutive month.
There are tens of thousands of stores that track returns. A few include Best Buy, Victoria's Secret, JCPenney, and Home Depot. Back to breaking news. We reported at the top of the hour early this morning, search and rescue crews find a body in Colorado Springs while looking for a teen reported missing after heavy rain. They are not confirming if that body is that of 16-year-old Rose Hams, but they do say they are no longer searching for her. The coroner's office is expected to release more information today. Hams was last heard from about 3:30 yesterday in the Village 7 area. She's 5'4", 120 pounds. We'll bring you into updates all morning as we get them. 11 minutes past 5 this morning. Coming up later in the show, the recent floods could mean trouble for car buyers. We'll tell you why.
And how about this? Are you ready to try laser eye surgery that takes just seconds to work? That's next in Your Healthy Family. Good morning. Welcome back. Laser eye surgery just continues to advance. In Your Healthy Family, a new laser device claims to be the fastest in the world, correcting vision in just seconds. Many patients admit while glasses help them see, they also hold them back. It can be hard to wear glasses for jobs that require a lot of physical activity or special protective eyewear. So many of them are turning to laser surgery to correct their vision. And now they have the option of the WaveLight EX500. Unlike normal laser surgery, this new laser even dramatically reduces the risk of seeing halos or glares at night.
With this laser beam that is shaped like a cylinder, we can deliver the energy precisely not only to the center of the cornea, but also to the periphery of the cornea. And so the normal shape of the cornea is maintained.
That treatment, as we said, takes just seconds, reducing the problem of dry eye tissue, and recovery is also dramatically shortened. That means 20/20 vision will happen within just a couple of weeks instead of the traditional 3 months. Now remember, you can always find this story and others like it on KOAA.com. Just click on the Health tab and scroll to Your Healthy Family. Let's head over to Stephen Bowers now for the latest check on your weather and maybe some more rain today, Stephen.
Well, that's right. In fact, rain is a pretty good bet, although while we will have more heavy rain around today, it's going to be a little bit less widespread than it was yesterday, and tomorrow that trend continues, and then toward the end of the week, we actually are going to start to dry out. The catch is with that heavy rain, flash flooding is once again a possibility today. So a flash flood watch is in effect for El Paso and Teller counties and the extreme northeast corner of Fremont counties, and that runs from noon until 9 a.m. on this Tuesday. Otherwise, right now we're quiet and we're a little on the cool side. Temperatures are generally in the middle and upper 50s. As cool as 47 though in Westcliff, 60 though the current temperature in La Junta. Good morning to you in Lamar. 58 is your current temperature, and in the Springs right now 56 degrees. And we're going to warm from the 50s and 60s into the 70s for most areas by the time lunchtime gets here. Clouds are a little thicker over the far eastern plains, but by lunchtime the focus really becomes, once again, western El Paso and Teller counties. That's where more rain is going to begin developing. And just like yesterday, that upslope breeze is what's favoring the mountains for the rain. And then that rain is going to move from west to east across our area. And again, it brings with it that potential for some flash flooding. So this is something that we're going to be especially mindful of as we look ahead to the afternoon, much like we were yesterday. Now, I want to go through the 7-day forecast for you, and in Colorado Springs the next couple of days we'll see high temperatures in the 70s with a chance for rain. In fact, a pretty good chance for some afternoon thunderstorms on both days. Now, beginning Thursday and Friday, we're going to begin drying out and warming up, and temperatures are going to head back up into the 80s and will stay there for the weekend, but a cold front comes through on Monday, and that's going to mean another round of thunderstorms for us. In Pueblo, it's lower to middle 80s today and tomorrow, with again afternoon thunderstorms that will linger into the evenings. On Friday and Saturday, we're drying out and warming into the upper 80s, but lower 90s are back in the picture on Saturday and Sunday before that next storm system rolls through on Monday. In Canyon City, it's a rainy Tuesday and Wednesday with highs in the upper 70s, but we're warming into the 80s by Thursday and Friday and nearing 90 by the weekend. And for Teller County, it's 60s today and tomorrow on average, and then warming into the 70s for the end of the week, and only a slight chance for rain will linger through the weekend. All right, here's a quick look at traffic. Colorado Springs right now flowing smoothly in most areas. Right now, things are looking good along I-25, too. From Fountain to Colorado Springs is a 12-minute drive, and coming into the Springs from Monument is a 19-minute commute this morning. Nicole, Adam?
All right, Stephen, thanks. Time now, 5:17. And coming up, you may want to keep a closer eye on your pet. We're going to tell you about a new crime wave called pet flipping. That's next.
Interesting. Also, good news in the credit card world. We'll have more on paying off debt. That's in consumer news. Stay with us. It's 5:20. Glad you're up early on this Tuesday. A lot of Americans are paying down credit card balances, and they're now reluctant, to take on more debt. That tops our look at consumer news this morning. New data shows that Americans are making more of an effort to make timely payments. Credit reporting agency TransUnion said Tuesday that the rate of U.S. credit card payments at least 90 days overdue fell to their lowest level in nearly 20 years. Well, the recent flooding is prompting a warning from Edmunds.com. Don't get stuck with a flooded vehicle when looking for a used car. Flood-damaged cars are sometimes refurbished and resold to unsuspecting buyers. Look for musty or moldy odors or discolored carpeting, fogging inside of the headlamps, rust, and flaking metal in the undercarriage. Also, dirt buildup can happen in unusual areas. Which college dominates the world of sales royalties? That would be the University of Texas. The Longhorns have brought in more in licensed merchandise sales than any other college for the 8th year in a row. Texas is followed by the University of Alabama and Notre Dame, the University of Michigan, and the University of Kentucky round out the top 5. How about this? Got to see it. A medical mogul has built his own private mountain on top of a high-rise apartment building in Beijing. And now he's been ordered to tear it down due to safety concerns. It's on the top of a 26-story building. Residents have complained for years that it's damaging the building's structural integrity, but it sure looks cool, doesn't it? Pet owners, beware. The latest new heartless crime is called pet flipping. So what happens here is criminals find lost dogs, and instead of returning them, they sell them for a quick buck online. They'll also answer found dog ads pretending to be the owner, or they'll just steal pets right out of their yards. This is awful. So anyway, if you see that happening and know about it, you're asked to call police. 522. Stephen Bowers is busy at work this morning to let you know how the weather's shaping up. Got another flash flood warning in effect now.
Well, flash flood watch goes into effect at noon for both El Paso and Teller counties, and I'll be back to talk a little bit more about that coming up next. Well, hi everybody. It's time now for weather, and we'll start with a look at the headlines and give you an idea of what we're expecting. And what we are expecting, well, is more rain. Kind of a lousy afternoon in store for us today. The one thing we'll notice, though, is that although we will see more heavy rain that is capable of producing flash flooding, it's going to be a little bit less widespread than it was yesterday, and tomorrow it will be less widespread still. Now, I mentioned that potential for flash flooding. We do have a flash flood watch that goes into effect at noon, and it will last until 9 o'clock for El Paso and Teller counties. The rest of the area could see some rain and maybe an isolated case of flash flooding, but the greatest risk is going to be within that flash flood watch area. Temperature-wise, we're in the upper 50s and lower 60s in most areas this morning. Some of the cooler spots have dropped to the upper 40s and lower 50s, and we are going to be warming from the 50s by lunchtime into the 70s in most locations, but that upslope breeze starts to favor the mountains once again for some heavy rain, and this rain is going to spill out of the mountains to the I-25 corridor and out into the southeastern plains as well early this evening. Nicole, Adam?
We're following breaking news as you wake up this morning, and we start with this: a missing teenager in Colorado Springs and a body found overnight.
Yeah, police are not saying yet if that body is that of 16-year-old Rose Hams, who disappeared yesterday during that flooding in the northeast side of the city. Maddie Garrett joins us now live with the very latest this morning. Good morning, Maddie.
Good morning. We have been following this for you throughout the morning and from last night. The search ended about 12:30 here. This is a creek where search and rescue crews were looking for that missing teen. They did find a body here around 12:30 a.m. However, police are not confirming if it is indeed missing teen Rose Hams. We are waiting for confirmation from the coroner's office on these developments. However, we do have confirmation that the body found did have clothing that matched the description of the 16-year-old girl. And also the search for her has been called off by police, and family have been notified of these developments. We're going to have more information for you on this coming up in just a moment. Live in Colorado Springs, Maddie Garrett, News 5.
All right, thanks, Maddie. It is 5:27. As Maddie said, we'll learn much more about that, and we'll have the latest on our next chance for potential flash flooding in both Colorado Springs and Manitou Springs. We'll be right back.